Hi, I'm Jan.
And I'm not Debbie, I'm Mark. I belong to her.
Okay. And this is the Villages 365, and Debbie is visiting some relatives and grandkids. And so we're going to do a little video. We've been asked by some viewers a man's perspective on what he would like or likes about the villages. So we thought this was a good opportunity to do that. So, what is your first thing you love about the villages?
Why do I like the villages? I like the villages. The one thing I like best about the villages is the uh, golf cart accessibility. And we drive golf carts everywhere. In fact, for a long time, we didn't even have a car. And the reason I like that is because it's kind of like having a convertible, only better. Because you just putz around in some of the neighborhoods, some of the quieter neighborhoods, or getting to and from the store, or wherever it is you want to go, and um, it's just very comfortable. It's not. It's kind of like being on a bike without the effort, I guess. And we ride our golf carts to just about every place we go.
Almost. Yeah. Even to church sometimes, although if the weather's kind of icky, by the time we get there, my hair looks really bad. So I kind of put the nix on that.
Well, that's it is a very active community, and that's probably the other thing. The second thing I like about it is if your hair looks bad, everybody knows it looks bad because you've been active. And there are just many opportunities to be active. Obviously, golf is one of the biggest things that the whole village's idea was promoted on, and there are just uh, I don't know 700 holes of golf in the villages now. And there's
Yeah, I think it's 744 or something. They just added one.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's it's
there's a
too much
lot.
to keep track of. There's pickleball, there's rec centers, there's swimming pools, there's walking paths that have outdoor exercise equipment. Um, just anything you want to do, it seems like it's here. And of course, there's full-scale gyms like Genesis used to be MVP. So there's plenty of opportunities to be active here. And this is so it's a retirement community, but this is by no means God's waiting room because most of the people that like it here are people that are really active. And speaking of not being God's waiting room, that's another thing I really like about the villages is the number of churches. I think 3 of the state's mega churches are within the confines of the villages. And one of those is ours, New Covenant United Methodist Church, a very active church, very much involved in outreach into the rest of the community.
Hmm.
Um, there's just countless ways to be involved there.
And
Um,
we sing in the choir.
we sing in the choir,
Yep.
try not to stand out too much.
We are really tall. It's kind of hard.
And there are several churches that are all very uh, active participants in the community. So it's a faith-based community as well as an active community. Um, the transportation system to get you to and from the golf courses, tennis courts, whatever, is very good. Obviously, as the villages expands and grows, there's improvements to not only the roads and the way the system works there, but to the golf cart paths and walking trails. Um, the way the tunnels are made because there are tunnels, so you don't have to drive your golf cart in the fast traffic like
Busy
across
traffic.
the
Yeah.
highways and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's very well set up that way. I give the villages a lot of kudos for keeping it free flowing for residents to enjoy it, but also looking out for resident safety in a lot of those things too.
Well, and the tunnels are fun to go in.
Yeah, you can honk your horn in the
Yeah,
tunnel.
the kids like to honk the horn too.
um, the golf course system is great. Another thing I really like, there are a wide variety of courses. Some of them are uh, heavily treed, and some of them are more open Florida type courses. Um, all are pretty well maintained, and then there's the executive courses, which there are, I don't know, a bunch of those um, that are shorter par 3 type courses,
And
also well maintained.
and free with your amenities,
Yeah, and come included
except for
with
the
the
trail fee.
amenities.
Yeah.
Um, so that was a big thing for us to be able to enjoy those. And it's nice to be able to drive your golf cart to those. You just put your stuff on in your garage and drive to the course. No messing around loading and unloading bags. Um, but there are, obviously, it's Florida. There are a lot of courses within a short distance of the villages too that we can drive to and enjoy those as well.
And we've done a few of those. But then we have found out that it's almost a hassle because we're so spoiled by having all of our stuff on our cart.
Yeah.
And we have one cart for golfing, and your electric cart is more of our touring, and you take it to the gym in the morning. So we don't have to take the bags on and off. So yeah, we're super spoiled.
Yeah, it's a great system. And speaking of places that you go, the squares, there's 3 squares
Plus
now,
Sawgrass. Yeah.
and a 4th one developing as we speak, partially there, but developing even more. And another thing I really like about the villages is the quality of their design and their construction. Each has its own theme. So, like the one by us is a Spanish theme, and then there's Lake Sumter Landing, which is, obviously more Cape Cod.
Well, actually, we've been, somebody told us that's not true. It does look like it, but it's supposed to be somewhere in Florida.
Well, there are a lot of Cape Cod style houses, and
Exactly.
it's
Yeah,
got
they made it like
lighthouses and
it's like
stuff.
seaside, seaside.
Seaside.
Yeah,
There you go.
there
That's
you
a
go.
good. That's a
Yeah,
better
somebody
description.
corrected us because we said the same thing because it does. A lot of the buildings do look like that.
Yeah. I'm from the Midwest, so it looked like Cape Cod to me. And then the other one is more Western theme, Brownwood. But the point I'm trying to make is the buildings are all well designed. Extra detail goes into this. Everything from the sidewalks to the doors to the way they're constructed to the facades that are around them. It's big enough to support all kinds of different shops, from clothing to chocolate to ice cream to bars to restaurants, and but not so big that it's overwhelming at each place. The entertainment is another part of those squares, which I find very enjoyable. In the 15 years we've been here, the entertainment has gone from pretty much local people that were quite good. There just
Yes.
weren't very many of them.
Well, it was the background music, the canned music behind them, and stuff. And it's made they do a guitar or whatever. But yeah,
It's really improved. There's some superior quality entertainment, and that's every day at every square, every day of the year, I think, unless it's inclement weather. But and then even in the some of the rec centers and some of the restaurants, I mean, there's just the music scene here is really, really strong and pretty good. Not to mention things like the Sharon Morse, the theater, that is outstanding Broadway, New York Broadway quality theater with great shows. There's the Savannah Center, which also has fantastic seating setup and stage setup, and brings in all kinds of great acts from out of town.
plus there's a lot of actors, retired actors here.
Yeah,
and very talented singers, and they've been in plays somewhere, and they will put on. There's several little groups that put on plays.
yeah, it's pretty surprising when you look around our church and the other churches and you see people that were on Broadway or have played at the Met, or they've just strong backgrounds. You would not even think about it. But so the entertainment scene is really good. There's a small theater over at Tierra del Sol that's really cozy and runs, I don't know, many different plays each year.
And Whitney
Whitney
Morris
Morris
is,
is kind of in charge of
yeah.
that, I guess.
And we just went to see one the other day, and it was hilarious. I mean, it's very quaint, and you're right there.
Yeah, very cozy
Yeah,
environment
yeah,
there. Small, I don't know, what's it seat, 150 people maybe, if
very
that.
nice.
So that that part of the villages gives you there's always something to do, I guess, is where I'm headed with that. Um, Another thing I really like, and a lot of people don't, but is the covenants and restrictions, because to go along with the theme of how well designed all of the squares and the community, the villages around them are, there are some significant covenants that most people adhere to. There are some that have no taste and like to do their own thing, but they sometimes are outside of the color palette or outside of the design palette that the villages would like to see. And I think that's one of the things that draws people to it, is because, yeah, is it Disney-esque? I guess it is a little bit, but I think that's what people like. Um, it's clean, it's well kept, it's well designed, and people take care of their properties. So I think that's a draw for anybody who owns property here.
Well, and there are some people that have no clue what the deeds and restrictions are, because if their realtor didn't give them to them, which we have found out before, and right now there's a big controversy. There's 8 villas that put rock down instead of
Bourbon.
grass, and someone turned them in, and now they're having to take out the rock and put grass back. And 4 or 5 of those people, it was bought that way, and the village's reps sold it. So, I mean, if they're not telling people some of these covenants, and I know that when we bought our house, they gave them to us and said, I think we had to sign them.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, there's some, I looked them up the other day, and there's some that I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. So,
As it grows, I'm sure it's harder and harder
yeah.
to maintain that and keep the homogeneity.
But down south, there's some restrictions that aren't here. Like
Oh
here,
yeah,
it's 2 dogs. There, you can't have any rope lighting in your cage, bird cage. But here, there's nothing about that. So I don't know. I mean, for a while they were just copying them and changing the date and putting a different section on. But I think now they're trying to.
I don't think there was rope lighting when our house was built.
So now you're making us feel old.
Yeah, well, we've been here a long time. Um, the location is also another thing I really like. For those of you that like the sea and the surf, we're almost in the middle. It's probably 60, 70 miles either direction to get to the Atlantic or the Gulf. Great beaches, great restaurants and things to do.
Breweries.
Breweries, yeah, and restaurants. Um, so it's an ideal location. You can get to the beach without living on the beach. Hurricanes have come and gone through here many times, and they are a nuisance, but they're not like as destructive if we were right on the beach. So far, that doesn't mean they can't be, because we're not
Shouldn't say
that
that
far
out
away.
loud.
But it's very accessible to I-95 and I-75, and not that far from Miami. So there's just a lot of a lot of things to do if you want to get away for a while.
Outside the bubble, we like to say.
Yeah. And um, the visitors like to come here because of that, as they either travel by on their way to and from places in Florida. Um, but when we go outside the bubble to vacation somewhere or even to go check out other places in Florida, I have to tell you, when we come back, we say, that was a great vacation, but it's really nice to be back home because it's just so easy to live here. Um, I know I sound like a sales pitch for the place, but that's what I like. So I have no complaints about that. You know, healthcare options are another thing we didn't talk about, but there's a hospital within 5 minutes of us on our golf cart. There's lots of urgent care centers, the doctors and dentists and eye care facilities that we have gone to have been excellent. I know every community has bad apples somewhere, but we've had really good luck. I don't have any complaints there. And I know there's other hospitals and things in the works. Obviously,
Down south, I think
yeah,
it's in the Middleton or in that area that they're going to be putting in another hospital because it's 140,000 people. So
yeah, it's
and growing.
no longer a small little retirement golf cart community, but it kind of is. If you stay within your section, you can kind of treat it like that. But you can also um, get a long ways away and still be in the villages. And probably the last thing that we really like is we talked about visitors coming all the time. And I can tell you when our kids and grandkids come here, they love the place. I mean, there's so much to do. And what kid doesn't like to ride around in a golf cart? And no, we don't let ours drive them because um, that's dangerous to them and to a lot of people that have slower reaction times or whatever. So, but they love going to the pools. They love um, all the activities.
They love the square.
They love the square.
The
Yeah,
music.
it's
Yeah.
just
You see a lot of little kids dancing up there. It's just,
yeah.
it's adorable.
And I think the for retirees that are away from their families that moved here, it's great for them to see those kids having a good time too. And I just really, I wish I could think of something that I really did not like about the villages that was because of the villages. There might be things I don't like, but that's not their fault. Um, so you gotta put up with some people and their idiosyncrasies. But I have to say that it's a really great place for us to live.
So, what was your first impression of the villages the first time we came here?
Yeah, I thought it was great. We visited some friends, um, went to the square, went to the pool, went to restaurants. There weren't
Wasn't that
that
much then?
there. Yeah, it was probably 15,000 people the first time we came here, which is, I think those people thought it was huge at that time. But um, yeah, it was just all the things I just mentioned were already starting to be in place, and cruising around on the golf cart and playing golf right from your house was just awesome.
Yep. And let's see, what else was I going to ask you? Oh, what did you do today?
Let's see. I went to one of the gyms and worked out. Genesis is a gym close to our house. Then did some things around the house, and we went golfing.
I went for a 20-mile bike ride while he was at the gym.
Yeah, another great day in the villages.
Yeah, we're having some people over later, and someone he met at the gym, and we're going to get to know them. And that's how you meet people. Some people think that they're moving here and leaving all their friends, but you're going to make some really good friends here too.
In fact, several of our friends from other places have moved here because they came to visit us.
Right.
So that's kind of how it works.
But anyway, thanks for listening, and like and subscribe. And here's the man's view of the Villages.
One man's view, anyway.
Well, that's true. I said a man. Anyway, all right.